If you really want to succeed with your finances, you have to be cold, calculated, and completely unemotional. Anytime you find yourself justifying things because you feel like you deserve it or things have been hard, you are already walking down a very dangerous path. Unfortunately, in today's society, we have primed individuals to look at their lives and look for sympathy. And the only way we feel as though we are getting that sympathy is if people, one, agree with us, and two, agree with our reactions to how we feel. So, for example, if I say to you, I've had a hard life, I've had a hard week, I've had a hard month, whatever it is, and I say, I deserve to spend money on X, Y, or Z because that's what's going to make me feel better about the things I've gone through. Society expects you to be understanding and to not call you out on your bullshit. Unfortunately, that's just not the truth. And it's not going to serve you if you actually want to be financially free. So here at this channel, I'm going to tell you the truth. I can do both. I can admit to you that you might be right, that the world is hard and maybe harder than it should be. Maybe you shouldn't have to work 60, 80 hours to be able to afford rent. Maybe you shouldn't have to do all of these things that you are currently doing in order to survive. But that doesn't change the reality of what the world is. If it takes you all of these things in order to survive, you need to do them. You cannot sit there and say, it shouldn't be this way, therefore I'm going to act as if it's not. And I'm going to treat myself anyway. Because where that leads is more debt, and eventually more poverty. You're not going to wish your way out of your financial problems. The only way you are going to crawl your way out of the hole is by grabbing the shovel and starting to dig. You have to move the dirt. You cannot sit in the hole and just hope that if you complain enough and people agree with you enough, that that'll somehow lift you out. It's not going to. You see, we have gotten really, really emotional in our culture. And it has created a group of individuals who see the world in this way of, because I believe I am morally right about what the world should be, I should not have to act in accordance with what the world is. It's not how it works. If you want to have money, you need to go to work. If you want to be able to save money, you have to spend less than you make. Those are the rules. Those are the rules of math, not of society. That's just how math works. You can't spend more and then still have money left over. It just doesn't work that way. So when you say to me, yeah, but rent's really high. Yeah, you're right. Now what? Yeah, but childcare is extremely expensive. Uh-huh. Now what? See, it always comes back to now what? Because you understood all of those things before you let them come out of your mouth. What did you think saying that out loud was going to do? Did you think it was going to change the reality? Because it doesn't. And I think on some level, I think people understand that by saying that out loud and just talking about it to people over and over again, it doesn't change where you are. It might make you feel better that other people agree with you, but being right and being successful aren't always the same things. You can be morally correct and still be broke. And that's where a lot of people find themselves. People will argue with me all the time about the morality of the current financial system, right? About how people should not be forced to be in this predicament where they're working to be able to live. I don't necessarily agree with that, but let's assume that I did. How does that change where we are? All I'm trying to get through to you guys is there is what you think the world should be, and there's what the world is. And if you allow your emotions to dictate how you move out here, you are constantly going to be disappointed with your results because it's never going to mirror what you think they should be. You want to live a life where you don't have to do all of these things, but complaining doesn't get you there. Being emotional makes you think that you are owed something. And even if you're right about that, telling people that you're owed doesn't get you paid. So before you tell yourself that you deserve X, Y, and Z because you are a human being and because you have value, all of those things I can agree with. I want you to consider that perhaps the moral version of the world that you have in your head is not the one that you live in. And until that becomes your reality, you have to be able to navigate in a way that allows you to take care of yourself and, your children if you have them, until the world can become that. Because if you say, for a moment, humor me, if you say that human lives are more important than capital, if you say your children and spending time with them is more important than chasing a job and chasing money, okay. But then the question becomes, how the hell are you going to take care of them if you have no money? See, you become the hypocrite if you see out this version of the world that you say you want and act as if it already exists. If you stand around and say, I'm going to spend time with my kids, I'm not going to play this game of money, 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 even though I can't afford to even do that, eventually you all aren't going to be able to eat. And if you have a responsibility to take care of your children, how are you going to do that with no money, with no cash? I'm not saying that the world is perfect. Far from it. I'm not even saying that you're wrong. I'm saying don't let the fact that you're right change what the reality is. When you look outside, the world is black and white. You might think there is all this nuance. But out here, in the real world, either you're eating or you're being eaten. Those are the only two options. So I just want to be very clear. Don't let your emotions get you in trouble. Don't let your emotions get you eaten. Because either you are succeeding, either you're thriving, or you are basically holding on by a thread hoping that nobody snaps you up. Don't allow how you feel to dictate what you do. You can tell yourself internally, this ain't fair. This is not the kind of world I want to be in. Fine. But then the next step needs to be, how do I conquer and move around in this world, being what it is, so that eventually I can build a life that is more in line with the values that I have. See, capital solves a lot of problems. It doesn't buy happiness, but it allows you to live a life that you actually want to live if you get enough of it, if you're smart enough, if you work hard enough. And if that's the case, we should all be concerned about capital. All of us. We should all be worried about our financial positions, whether we agree with the system or not. Because eventually, if we play the game well enough, we don't have to play it anymore. At least not in the way that you're playing it right now. If you actually believe this is junk, the way this world function is shit, beat the game so that you can quit. See, people won't do that because that's harder. You want to sit on your moral high ground and not have to play the game at all. But that leaves you broke. So make a choice. That's all I'm saying. Make a choice. Either you're going to be the one that was always right about the world but never conquered it, or you're going to be the person that knows and accepts the world for what it is, but decided I'm going to get after it so that eventually I'm going to buy my time back. I'm going to not be the person who always was suffering and always preaching, always broke, but always preaching about how unfair the world is and how the world should change. If you want to change the world, the easiest way to do that is to first change yourself. All you need to do, you don't have to abandon that way of thinking, but all you really need to do is say, all right, this is what the world is. Let me go figure this shit out so that I don't have to play this game anymore. Don't be emotional. The world is what it is. If you want to win this money game, cold, calculated, understand what the world is, and keep moving. That's it. Talk to you later.